I had myself on mute because my phone rang.
We are now recording the April 26, 2019 Small Business Accounting Advisors. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So this has become a theme, and we're going to watch Dennis's funny video.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So,
Make it full screen, Dennis.
yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay.
One of these days I'll figure this out.
We do it enough, and you'll get good practice.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
It's the brackets on the lower right-hand corner of the video.
Okay, can you see it now?
Oh, we're back to Zoom. We lost it.
We're on your Zoom meeting screen.
Let's see.
I can't see because of my, you might have, I think you closed your YouTube video.
Okay, so I'm going to try it again.
Try to get it back.
Take two.
Yeah,
okay.
I guess my incompetence in sharing these things is part of the
Funny video for this week.
Can you see
There
it
we
now?
go.
Yep, we can see it.
All right. This guy's kind of a moron.
Oh, he's on a.
He's on a I thought he was a regular cycle. It's a unicycle.
I guess to buy
buy a unicycle.
I guess to buy a new one. Oh, just a second. I'll give you another. There's a couple
We have
more.
another two for the price of one today.
Yeah, just a second. Okay, am I sharing this? Okay.
Not yet.
All right. Just a second. Okay, these are a couple that I find kind of amusing. Okay. Okay, can you see it now?
Yep.
Bail Army close calls.
Oh.
He's still on the phone.
And all while he had his phone.
Oh. Not too bright.
Yeah. It's kind of assorted idiots.
The last one was pretty fun.
I like watching those. They make me feel smart.
That's right. They do.
Well, have you seen the ones that got videos of people falling down and like people fainting at weddings and taking the whole bridal entourage out into the pool, you know?
There's all kinds of funny videos like that. And Dennis, you are going to be our funny video person. So today we're going to talk about apps and systems and services that we use and workflows in our whatever we're using for in our accounting system, not just for us, but with our clients. So Lisa, do you want to give us a little overview about what it is you're looking to get out of this conversation?
Well, I just kind of a little bit where we reiterate what we talked about before we were recording, but basically I've been stalking Linda and Sarah. just observing some of their conversations, and I always love to learn how other people are using their workflows and apps to run their businesses. And I do have some real estate clients. I know Linda does as well. I'm not sure about Sarah. And we'll just list 17 Hats as one of them. I've always kind of thought that was maybe based more for photographers. I don't know much about it. And knowing that Linda partners it with her real estate business, I'm curious how she's using that. And I think it's fabulous to have many tools in your toolbox. And as Linda's doing, apparently you don't have to use the full service. You could use bits and pieces, put that together for your workflow. And so I'm just curious how these ladies are integrating these apps and their workflow to run their, because it's all about being efficient. I mean, you can have lots of clients, but you can't have them if you can't service them. And these tools help us service our clients. So I'm just curious what people are using and how they're using them.
Well, I like 17 Hats. One of the reasons I really like it, it's really inexpensive. So when I buy it I bought it for my business, my accounting business, to use for the leads, I have the contact sheet is actually is connected through 17 Hats to my website. So when somebody reaches out to me, and you can create your own. So you can make certain questions be required. And my big one is the last one. How did you find me? And every single week when I say, oh, I hate making my blog every week, it comes up YouTube. I'm like, oh, crap. Now I got to do the blog again next week. But, it's just so funny. But that's one of the things. And then I started thinking, because I would watch my husband make these leases and print them out, and then people wouldn't answer them back. And now we have a way. I put it in 17 Hats. So that way 17 Hats has got I used all the fields kind of in a creative way to make it work. And you can actually add fields now. But when I did it, you only had preset ones. So I used like company, and I used it for like the amount of the rent, the new rental amount. So now when it goes out, they have it, and then it reminds him too. So now he still has stacks of paper, but it reminds you like this person didn't send their lease back, and then you can reach out to them as a reminder. And now I'm starting to use it more with like the workflows. And we went over that on Wednesday in the webinar, how I'm using it for the workflow. So I have a workflow I'm kind of using that program for onboarding. And then from there, you can have this places for notes. So you can look like you're really brilliant when someone calls you like in January, and then they reach back out to you again in March, and you're like, oh, I remember talking to you. And then you look up your notes. You had the construction business, and they're like, wow, you remembered all that? No, but it's in my notes. So it's great. And then you can go back, because sometimes people come back to you in a year. And then I try to tag them, and you can tag them. So I can go back if somebody I think maybe a little bit later might want me to reach back out to them again. And I'll just say, hey, how's it going? And maybe they didn't pick me up. And they're like, oh my God, it's 10 times worse. And now it's July. I can reach back out. So it's a pretty easy program to use too. It's my oldest app that I've got besides QuickBooks, but I mean, it's the one I've had the longest.
17 Hats has been around for a long time. And if you look back through our videos, we have actually interviewed, oh my gosh, I can't think of what his name is, who designed the whole program for his wife, who was a photographer. So that's why I understand why you thought it was for just photographers only. But it's got this really cool, like Linda said, templates where you create these, and it integrates with your website. So you create a contact form, and it automatically comes to you. And then there's conditional, how do you want to put it? Processes where if somebody sends you an email, an automatic email can automatically go out to them with questions.
Yeah.
Like you want to know the company name, their phone number. And Linda, like you had talked about, how did you find me? You can have specific questions answered. And then once that comes in, you can send them out another email saying, let's set up an appointment. All this happens automatically without you even touching it, which is an amazing time saver.
And the other part that's cool we found was the sharing of the templates.
Oh.
Yeah, you can do that from user. So I could send a group of templates to Linda and say, here, would you like to use these? You sign off on copyright stuff, by the way, internally, but there's this whole thing where you can share these documents. But
we shared with Brandon, remember?
Yeah, we shared one with Brandon, which was a really cool thing. So
That's
You can
nice.
get signatures back. You can send contracts.
yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I've got my letters of engagement in it. I've got everything in it, and I've been really building it out so that it's set up. And I sell a service where I do what Linda and I were talking about before. We do this just being the support person. And I want people, you put them on recurring, and I don't want them to think I forgot them. So I have it preset every quarter to like, hey, how's it going? So that way I reach out to them, but it's all preset. Once they sign up with me, I put them in the little queue. And then and it's like, oh, happy spring. I mean, yeah. And they just, it's part of my system.
So it'll send out recurring invoices for you from your templates that you create an invoice template? Is that what it's doing?
No, this is just invoicing. I try to bill out of QuickBooks, but when I do a contract, though, if somebody signs the contract, like I just sent a contract out today, as soon as they send the contract out, it's right away, it sends a bill to pay me. So, because people, when they're excited to sign up, they are excited to pay right away. You want to bing, boom, boom, just like that.
Mhm.
And then after that, if they become ongoing, I put it through into QuickBooks.
And Brandon, would you like to tell us how you're using 17 Hats for your lead generation?
Yeah, so I've got two different lead generators set up. One is really, I use it for ASG. So I have a potential member fill out a link that's on 17 Hats, and then I use it for workflows. So it goes through the first contract and the direct deposit authorization form. It sends an email out to Intuit automatically for me to get everybody set up in QuickBase. So I use the workflows in 17 Hats, and then the one that I mentioned up there with the link is for a new payroll evaluation. So if you've got anybody on QuickBooks Pro that's got more than 13 employees is probably paying too much, we could put them on Enterprise. So it's really, what I've got is a link on an advertisement that goes just to a 17 Hats form. And then as soon as they fill that out, I get a text message and an email. So we can go run the cost real quick and return back to them and tell them that we could upgrade them to Enterprise. We get credit for the sale, the customer saves money, and everybody wins.
Nice, nice. Really works out well. So I'm going to switch gears really quick because I see Matthew has joined us. I do not see Matthew in his new hat.
I know.
Matthew.
Hello. I'm trying to resolve a video thing, so.
Okay, you'll surprise us.
You need help?
Yeah, actually. I'll be right back.
Right back.
Had to do it. Had to do it, Tiffany.
Must be the day for video. Like that was horrible for me getting on this morning. I mean, before the show.
Well, Larry posted in chat that Zoom had connection problems today that they're working to resolve.
Oh, wow.
Oh, could be the storms going across the country.
It could be. We're going to get 5 to 9 inches of snow tomorrow.
No.
Oh.
What is that?
Where are you?
Where's that at?
Where are you at?
Minnesota.
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
Oh,
It should be, most of it should be gone by Sunday.
Wow. It's April.
So 17
Amazing.
Hats is making a comeback. 17 Hats has been around for a really, really long time.
I actually found out about it at QuickBooks Connect because I was stalking Seth, but was too afraid to go up to him at that point. And Sarah and I figured out we must have passed each other. Like, we went to all the same sessions. Like, we've been talking about all the sessions we've been to together. Kind of funny. We were
That
like,
was our first year at the same time.
Yep.
And we were in the same session when I stood up, and she had no idea who I was. And yeah. It was,
and I'm like, I sat in the front row, and she's like, I was in the front row. It's so funny. I didn't know.
yeah, that's my longest app I've paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So ladies, I guess we'll start off with Linda. When I say ladies, Linda and Sarah, because I was kind of observing you guys. What do you guys use besides 17 Hats? I know you guys are using Veeam. What other tools do you have in your toolbox?
There's a lot. Auto entry, Sassant, Receipt Bank, HubDoc.
Okay, I guess that's my question, Sarah. Auto entry, Receipt Bank, HubDoc, those three all do the same thing. Why are you using 3 different platforms?
Kinda. It's a tool. It's a purpose for so yes, they cross over, but there is a reason why I use auto entry. Auto entry, I really like the way they do the PDF banking. So you scan in your PDFs, they send them off, they come back, and they come into a format where you could what's called fast coding, meaning you code through auto entry and it circumvents the bank feed altogether. It goes right into the GL and you're ready to reconcile.
It's really
So
cool.
why are you not using auto entry with all your clients? Why are you using all 3 services?
That particular one I don't really open up to my clients for usage because I don't want to sit there and learn all of the different features right now myself. I want the snap and go. I want the ease of use. So Receipt Bank and HubDoc do those really well on that piece. But if I'm going to use, I use auto entry for me. It's my tool for me. I steward it under my needs, not under theirs.
Doesn't auto entry have the Snap app too that you can take pictures of receipts?
I'm sure they do, but again, like I'm not going to go down that road unless I really want to, unless I like everything about it and I really want, if I'm going to use it for me, it's my tool in my tool chest. So I just did a trust cleanup, and Mom and I did one part of it, and it took us a week to do the manual laboring of it, not through QuickBooks. We were doing it through through like a spreadsheet. Well, I flipped it around and I had to go further back because we found there was more discrepancies. So I had to go all the way to actually 2013, but I started with 2014 forward. I just went ahead, scanned everything in, fast coded it in. I have all of the details inside the QuickBooks Online file. It happened to be, luckily enough, the same trust account. They shouldn't have done it that way, but that's what they did. And I was able to, within, basically, what was I telling you, Linda? I think we did a quarter within an hour to 2 hours at most, a quarter worth of bank feeds and fast coding. So scanned it all in a bulk, came back like 3 days later and started to fast code in by quarter, essentially, each one on the bank side. And I was able to just basically have this job literally cleaned up.
Detangle it. I mean, when she says manual, she literally showed me the old grid sheet paper.
Oh, yeah, I have it. I call it my
she's like, look what I'm working on. I'm like, oh my God.
Like, I'm not joking. Like, I have to go back and balance too. You guys can cringe all at the same time if you want. I got to balance to one of these.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
polymer paper.
Yeah, I don't want to open it up because it is trust. But
Right.
Yeah.
And,
How many columns across?
it's a lot.
Pretty big.
And there's a lot of mistakes, a lot of redundancies. Thank God my mom is Arabic because there's a lot of Arab names.
Your mom is awesome.
I second that motion.
We love Mom.
So she helped me discern the whole thing. But yeah, so that's auto entries for that purpose. Receipt Bank, HubDoc are for other tools and other mediums with client engagement on those.
So the client uses the HubDoc and Receipt Bank, and you use the auto entry.
Yeah.
And
Sarah,
HubDoc is, I learned from Sarah that the HubDoc only has one user type. So that's why she uses Receipt Bank. So like with these bigger law firms they're working with, they don't want everybody to see everything. And I've not run into that. So that's why she uses Receipt Bank, because they have users.
I was just going to ask, why would you use Receipt Bank and HubDoc? I've used HubDoc more, and I really like it. And I felt like the search in HubDoc, I feel like it's better than Receipt Bank.
Oh, I feel the opposite. But you
in HubDoc, you just type in one amount, and it'll find it anywhere, or a word. Receipt Bank, you've got to do the search. You got to put beginning and ending, so you have to type the number twice. And I was like, why?
Yeah, I agree. And I didn't realize, I think I said this in the last meeting with Receipt Bank, I was not on the optimized version, which was really frustrating me. And that whole platform has completely shifted. Now, there are some nuances that, in hindsight, there are some things I wished I'd known, but it's kind of like you just have to deal with it. So the collaborative piece on Receipt Bank is nice. So you
Always
can
put his
have,
hat on.
oh, you do. You can have multiple users, like Linda was saying. Whereas HubDoc, it's more of a tool for like you and the business owner, because you don't.
That's how I use it.
Anymore. Yeah. So a lot of times I kind of like have to section off what my needs are.
Oh my gosh.
What I love about HubDoc is you have products and services that you can hit, line items you can hit, and you don't get that in Receipt Bank. So there's just some trade-offs there. It just depends on what you're.
We're going to come back to Katrina, because Katrina had a question. But before we do, I have to address Matthew.
And the alligator over his head.
And the fancy world on fire.
On fire, yeah.
I know where the alligator came from, because then I found a folder in there that you shared with me, and it says messing with Linda. Now I know why there's alligators. I'm like, you probably shouldn't have shared this with me.
Nope.
And Brandon, you just got a green screen set up. Where is your picture? It's green back there.
I've got to get it's horrible without the lights set up, and I ordered the lights yesterday, so I didn't worry about trying to get something behind me today.
You could have done it with Zoom, though. You have pictures in Zoom.
I do have pictures in Zoom.
Well, I'll let you play. In the meantime, Katrina, you were trying to say something?
I was going to address Lisa in regards to putting in invoices into auto entry. The thing about using auto entry for invoices, it could get expensive compared to a HubDoc or a receipt bank. But in terms of if you have a contractor and they have a bunch of line items on an invoice, auto entry could really be sweet.
But does HubDoc has line items?
Yeah, but auto entry is going to extract the line items for you. Very sweet that way.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
I really like auto entry, and I hadn't looked at it since 2016, and I'm really liking what we're doing, putting all these invoices in. It's really interesting. It's getting, we're getting them in pretty quick.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Linda's saying, what's nice is this, you know, we had a batch of almost 300 invoices. We haven't put everything in yet, but, and it's like what Katrina's saying, it line items it out. It gets all the detail. It takes a lot of the manual steps out. Whereas, you know, with HubDoc, it's not going to extract that data the same way, I think. You still are manually doing a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, HubDoc, like all of them, it starts memorizing them though. So I mean, I'm pretty quick on my HubDoc clients because it just boom, boom, boom. So, but Sarah, what you're doing a major cleanup job. You don't have all that memorization yet. So that's where auto entry probably saves you.
Yeah, I guess you just like you. I'm so like you. I want the tool that fits me for what it is, and I'm looking at the long game. So if it's a short-term thing, I'm going to use the immediate stuff. I'm going to use the auto entries. I'm going to grab those summation tools, I guess, in my tool chest there. But then the other stuff, the long-term stuff, yeah, go ahead, get in that playground, play with that, use that tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you using HubDoc for the bill pushing in, Lisa, pushing the bills in and all that?
Well, I only have 2 clients on HubDoc, and they are service providers, and they pay everything themselves. I don't pay. They either use their card, so I have no bills. It's they're sending their receipts to me, so I can code them and update their books and reconcile. So
you have real estate though, right? You guys own real estate too. It's great for the rental properties because there's a lot of bills.
Yeah.
And that's an issue too. Are you paying or is your client paying when you decide what you're going to be using?
I pay usually. With those apps I pay. But I'm not, we just had this conversation the other day, but I'm not paying for QuickBooks and QuickBooks payroll anymore because the cost is so big that it's at the end of the year, I sit with the client, they're like, oh, I paid you that much. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, your QuickBooks is in your payroll, which can be a couple $100, right, of your bill. So I stopped putting that in. Plus, most of the apps, they haven't increased in price, but QuickBooks has. So I'm just kind of mitigate my costs.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Linda. The way you described it, it's just really changed how I was thinking about it. Because you're right. They don't think about those costs being in there.
Nope, they forget. And then when they look at the total at the end of the year, it's a lot because you're not dividing it by 12.
Yeah.
Here, other Sarah.
Other Sarah.
Sarah and Mark. Hi. Mark's all dressed up. He looks like he's going somewhere.
I like his shirt. Do you like a shirt?
Oh, yes.
Like shirt.
Oh, he's going somewhere okay.
Anyway.
So Brandon, you're on the phone. You're not muted.
Brandon looks like he's in the sewer.
He was in space. He and Matthew were complimenting each other.
But now it looks like he's in the sewer.
That's just my mind.
And Sarah Laidlaw, hi. How are you?
Are you feeling better?
Later.
Hold on, everybody. I need to hear it. Come on, Sarah. Happy Friday.
Yay! We missed that.
And Matt, you were so cool in your hat. I know. Yeah. That
It's
happens.
because all you guys are
Like my secret power over him, and now he's got the damn hat.
Yep. It's funny how something so little can mean so much. Right? It's
You
an
mean like,
acknowledgement.
Matthew, you mean like, somebody just picking you up at the airport when you just really need it most? For anybody who doesn't know, that guy right there did that for me. My daughter had to go take a final, so she was out. My brother-in-law's wife was going to take us, and then she broke her arm. She was out, and Matthew just saw that I was in Cameroon and was like, "Hey, dude, let's meet. You want me to take you to the airport? No problem."
There you go. See?
How come I have to beg to have him pick me up at the airport?
Do you really want me to tell you, or do you want to go look at that folder again?
Funny story. Funny story. When I first met him the very first time, because we only talked on this. So my daughter says to me, "You're gonna do what? You're meeting who? You've never met him? How do you know he's not a murderer?" Because she watches all those shows. So she says to me, "What if he takes you down a dark street?" And so he picks me up. We go down this road, and he takes this turn off the main road, and it was dark, and he pulled over to the side of the road. And I'm thinking in my head, "Oh my God, my daughter's right. He's gonna murder me right now." And I remember saying to him, "What are you doing?"
My navigation wasn't taking the right direction, so I had to pull over because I didn't want to be driving and trying to change it for something in the car, right? Be like, "Here, let me do this at the same time as I'm driving super safe."
I think I said, "You're not going to murder me, are you?" He goes, "Not yet." Thanks for the heads up.
The answer, my goodness.
Those reassuring words.
Yep. She came back a second time, so it must have been okay.
I'm back again, too. Watch out.
Brandon just returned from space. He was in the deep dark.
Yeah, now he's on Mars. I think it's green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something happened this week.
Conversation.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry, was someone speaking?
No, something happened this week, and I thought, oh, that'd be perfect for Friday.
I'm
There was some. Oh, this is the thing with the Intuit and
Who's speaking?
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
Mark.
Was it payroll?
No.
Oh! Oh my God. Okay, so.
That's what you were thinking?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
All right. So I obtained a little church down the street to do their payroll. And the gal that, it was weird. They had one person did it by hand and they would tell the other person, and then it was put in the books, and it was just too many volunteers, So that lady was retiring and they wanted to do it right. So I gave them a quote and everything. Well, then I found out that the bookkeeper who actually did it after the fact or something and then did the quarterlies used to work for me. I'm like, oh, cool, Linda. So she goes, oh yeah, take them, just do everything. I'm like, okay. So I get the file. And so on my to-dos has been to get my payroll license out of that QuickBooks file, change her license to mine, because every time we do payroll, she gets the email. But anyway, she's down, we're friends. So then have another client, and I went to turn on payroll, not to do payroll, but I wanted to be able to turn on direct deposit so I could do vendors in the desktop file. So I'm just turn on payroll, blah, blah, blah. And it says, would you like to put it on your enhanced accountant's license or whatever? And I just blew past, sure, yeah, that's perfect, da, 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 right? Next day, my client calls. He's got an email from Linda, and Linda got an email that it went on her license, not mine. And she very kindly emailed him and said, "I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with your company."
Wow.
But you've been added to my payroll license, and there's must be a mistake somewhere. And then he forwarded to me like, what is this? And I'm like, what happened there? I'm like, that's the craziest thing. So now I have to figure out how to fix it.
Well, let me know how that works so I can stick all my clients on Linda's billing. That'd be great.
Right?
That's nearly as fun as Linda sharing all of her payroll information to her customers.
Ooh.
Have you?
That was not fun.
Wow. Was that QBO's payroll that did that, or was that?
Yes.
Yes. And it was my salary showed up in front of my client. In their
Have you
box.
guys seen the new?
It's been fixed though. I think it's been fixed. I haven't seen that.
All righty. So back to Veeam.
Oh, sorry. I'm just like
No,
interrupted.
Yeah.
that's okay. No, that's okay. That's
Oh, I have some about Veeam, so to let me, just remind me.
Well, did anyone see Liz and Heather's Veeam on Appy Hour?
I did.
I missed it.
I flagged so I can watch it later.
Was it good?
It was. They're fun. I enjoy them. One of the big things that I got out of it, I didn't think Veeam was for business. I thought it was personal. I was absolutely wrong. Veeam is for business. Veeam cannot work with business and regular people. It has to be business to business.
It's a business, and they've been saying no nonprofits. They which knocked out everybody I have. But what they really, where they make their money, that's why it's free, is the overseas.
Right.
That's their target market. So they've offered it domestically, but what they really want are the people that are paying.
Wanted to do things overseas. Right.
They've actually come to me and said, we're thinking about adding nonprofits. And I'm like, really? Because I told them I had one really large nonprofit that sends a lot of money overseas. So we're going to meet end of the first week in May.
Nice.
Maybe the week of the 6th, and then see if we can get it through underwriting. But they're trying to back off a little bit on the nonprofit, but only if it's worth their while, I think.
They do, though, for Lisa's sake, they do. So my realtor client, they do from the realtor, once the money comes in, you can pay your agent. The broker can pay the agent that way. And
yeah, I talked to them yesterday too. They said they will not do rental property payments, but they agent payments.
Oh, okay.
And it works really nice for that. It's perfect.
But they don't do any recurring payments, right? Like you can't set up. I talked to them yesterday, and it sounds like they're thinking about that, but I'm understanding they're not offering that now.
I think so. I didn't think to do that because we're by transaction.
It's not free anymore, isn't it? $1 too?
Domestic.
Yeah.
Oh, is that? Oh,
$1 for domestic. And for you Veeam users, I'm currently using Pluto to take automatic payments that are due to the client. So the money coming in, and it's recurring. Every month it deposits whatever amount. Does Veeam do something like that too? Or they just do no recurring, whether it's in or out?
Isn't it just payables?
I don't know.
They take, you can take, you can do an invoice too and have people pay you or pay whoever's using Veeam. There's both payment and invoice.
How about turnaround time? Because Pluto does not have a good reputation for paying ACH quickly unless you pre-fund the account.
Right. I actually like Pluto as far as the recurring payments. Also, I can set up the vendor. Some vendors don't want to set up, they don't want to take the time to set up their checking account number, but they can provide it to me. So I have both choices.
You
can have a choice. I can either send a link and they can set it up, or I can set it up myself. Veeam, only option is to email. And I have clients in online and desktop. So Pluto works with both. So I like that. For me, the only downfall with Pluto, because they have the recurring payments, it's the option of setting up the checking accounts either way. They're slow.
They're slow. So,
but you know what? I want to say slow is relative.
Slow is relative, Gina.
We're talking 7 days. We're talking sometimes
It is 7 days. They tell you 3 to 5 business days, which is 7 days. You can look at the calendar when you initiate it, and when the payment's funded, it's 7 days. I don't care how you slice it. 7 days.
The amount of time that it takes to actually do the invoicing, send it out to the client has to receive it, then the client has to put it through their system and mail you the check back. It's generally not going to be shorter than 5 days.
And Gina, and actually we do play one of the clients on the mainland. She's like, oh, I'm going to get it faster, even if it's a week. By the time you mail it to me and I get it and go to the bank, she's happy with her 7 days because she's still not going to the bank. For our local vendors, though, here in our state, especially with the tech, people are paying their friends with tapping their phones and cash app.
I mean, instantly. I know. So it doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah. So 7 days, I'm with you. I mean, by the time you can put it in the mail, but I'm sorry, the technology and the generation that we're living in, everybody is used to instant payment now. So 1 day is almost like, oh, it's going to take a day?
Forever. Well, do you think a lot of it's risk? Because I think they can't verify how much money you have in an account, maybe?
No, I get why they're doing it from a business perspective. It's liability and it all makes sense. It's just that our world is changing and friends are paying friends at dinner instantly. Right. And people are getting used to it. So if you can't pay in a day, I mean, so now this client, I'm using Pluto and Veeam. She's a real estate one. So we'll use Pluto to pay her local vendors because it syncs. She's on desktop still. So it syncs and it's beautiful. And I have push of one button and I'm good. But the agents, they don't want to wait 7 days. Obviously, the agents aren't waiting 7 days for their commission. Right. So the vendors, they're fine. We're going to pay them with Pluto and I'm going to do Veeam for the 1 day processing for the agent commission because she's still on desktop. So
I could do that.
The first time.
A little bit now. Do they fight the accounts payable? Like, do you have any problem with Pluto reading it and Veeam reading it? And
no. I mean, okay, in all fairness, Sarah, I just signed up for Veeam yesterday.
Okay.
so I just signed up for Veeam yesterday. Pluto I've been working with, and now this client is desktop, and Veeam does not sync with desktop.
Right, now I'm all desktop. Well,
yeah,
so I'm thinking about for my artist gallery with the co-op, and they all chomping at the bit to get their commissions at the beginning of the month.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that
actually have them pre-fund Pluto because we know it's always 30 grand. That there's, as long as I know it's safe and that they're not, I don't. That was the only reason I hesitated. It's like, okay, I can just leave 30,000 in Pluto.
Yeah, I they've been around for. I think they're pretty reputable. I've put through 20,000 in commission with them. Just
but I'm saying you pre-fund it.
I did not pre-fund that one.
I pulled the trigger on Pluto. They said it would be 12 hours.
Yeah, so I mean, you might start off with maybe 10,000 or something and just get comfortable if you're concerned. But I mean, you can see how long they've been around. I'm not sure
if they ever go. They have our money. I don't know.
So I do want to say though, with Veeam, the first time the agent gets set up on the network and everything, and the money goes, it took. The first time, the feedback I got was the first time it took 4 days for the agent to get the money because it was just a verification thing. A lot of times agents are already on there, just so you know. Sometimes they're already in the Veeam network, so it can go a little faster. But then it moves really fast. So the workflow we have with the agents I'm working with is they deposit the money that night. They schedule the Veeam thing, and so then by 24 hours or 48 at the most, the agent will have a notification about it. Just so you have that, Lisa, because I noticed a small delay. So
yeah, so that's probably good to tell them the first time it'll be slower, but
exactly. Yeah.
Later. Yeah. So we're going to use both. Vendors are on Pluto, agents are on Veeam because we're using desktop. If we weren't using desktop, I might switch that up. But I don't want to be doing duplicate entry. That's why I like the Pluto. I put the bills in. I can sync it to Pluto. It's all paid. It syncs back to my QuickBooks. I'm done.
I just got my own Pluto account, so now I need to. I was just gonna play with it myself.
Yeah.
And then if I like the way it works, then we'll do that for my gallery. But like I said, they only need like 2 or 3 days. It's like I could send them the 30 grand to pad the account, and then when I'm ready to pull the trigger, because it's all paid once a month.
It'll be faster if you pre-fund it, and I'm not. Sarah might have remembered, but I don't remember how fast it is.
They said it'd be 12 hours if it's pre-funded.
Okay, so that might be a solution for you if you're using
that's
this for
what they'll
desktop.
do. As long as they never abscond with the 30.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume we would have heard something by now because they are out there, but I understand your hesitation. That's a lot of money. But I mean, if you keep track paper trails and like, I sent this money to you if there's ever truly a problem.
Yeah.
But I would assume.
Well, they've got the cash, so it's not like, so that's what I'm saying. It would just become like another bank account to me.
Yeah.
I just have this money set aside. And then towards the end of the next month, I go pad it again. That's what I think I'll do. Okay.
Sarah, since we were talking apps and workflow, Sarah Laidlaw, since you're a desktop person and you came in a little bit later, what apps are you? We're talking about the apps and workflows that we have in our toolbox. I am using a little bit of Expensify. We talked at QuickBooks and Connect about Expensify.
Yeah, I've got a couple clients doing the Expensify thing, but I love my Divi.
Divi. Okay, so what isn't Divi a payment?
I love my Divi. Divi is actually a line of credit, but it's a MasterCard. It's a corporate card, but you get a line of credit up to a certain amount, so you can't hold the balance over. So if they're gonna, whatever your balance is at the end of the month, they're gonna hit you on the first. They get their money. Okay, so you can't really use it as a credit card if you don't have the cash to pay off your credit card 100%. But
Look behind Sarah, everybody.
He's practicing. Mark is practicing.
You make a good Vanna.
Yeah, Vanna White.
The tool in the toolbox.
The tool in the toolbox. The tool in the toolbox.
Sorry, Sarah, I couldn't resist.
Hey, Sarah, it's the fastest.
Everybody needs TBS in the toolbox.
Easiest way. What's my buzz line? I forgot already.
No, he was all excited. You almost had it. Ernest was like on the edge of his seat.
Killing me here.
Fastest,
The easiest way to export.
Balance.
Line.
I need to.
She needs those cards.
I had my cute little saying that was like that. But anyway,
I put that in front of you, Sarah.
I know. I used to have it on a sticky on my monitor. Okay, Divi. Okay, so what's cool about Divi is you can get physical cards for your employees, your board members, your volunteers, your janitor. Okay, they can have a physical card. You control with the app. Actually, it works better on a computer. If any money's on it at all, if there's any budget on it at all. So you can give them a dead card. And if they need to go to the store, they just request money. Or you can say, all right, you're good for $300 for supplies and or whatever on a reoccurring basis. All right, so there's the physical cards. But what's really cool are the virtual cards. So like today, I was talking to Judy with Client Hub. And in order to get that little program, I had to give her a credit card number. So I popped open Divi. I got a virtual number. I named the card Client Hub. They have their own dedicated MasterCard number. And then I gave it a monthly budget. And it doesn't expose my physical credit card numbers. So I have one. So now I have set one up for all the recurring junk that was on my corporate card. Everyone has their own credit card number.
And you can stop it whenever you want.
I can spend it.
That's really good.
I can change it. I can kill it. So what happened was I had my website under my shopping cart on it. And one day I get this email that says that my credit card was declined. Well, those little puppies, they jacked up my price like $12 a month and didn't even tell me. I'm like, really? And then there was another app, I won't say who it was, that, hey, sometimes they want your credit card number, but then you have a 2-week trial. And then I canceled that puppy, and damned if they didn't try to hit that card.
Didn't go through.
Didn't go through.
So they use that for noon.
So I like the virtual. And then So the only complaint that I have that they've already fixed is they didn't have a clean way for you to get your receipts. So at the end of the month, you would have to click on each receipt if you wanted a copy of it. I'm like, forget that. So
Yeah, really.
now what you do is you give it a date range like last month. And for an accountant to have a credit card that actually ends on the 31st is like awesome.
Right.
And so I say, just give me a zip of all the receipts, one cute little file. And the first time I used it at Staples, before I got to the car, that thing was harassing me to take a picture of my receipt. And it said something cute like, you don't want to lose your privileges, your credit card privileges. So you put in the little chart of accounts, and so it'll start learning where things post automatic, it'll like default, but it can like add who they ate lunch with or whatever. But as soon as they take a picture of the receipt, they are completely done. They didn't use their own money. I don't have to reimburse anybody. And it's just going onto my Divvy account. And at the end of the month, it exports to desktop and beautifully. Or I can just do it to a comma delimited file and just do that batch enter.
That's with Divvy?
Divvy.
Yeah. So Sarah, they're asking for a link for the card.
Okay.
So it looks and it feels like a credit card to everyone, but
nobody knows that it's a special
it's
thing.
a line of credit.
But it's hooked to your line of credit. So they do a Dun & Bradstreet thing, and then you tell them how much credit you want, and then but they've been really flexible. Let's see.
So your apps that you have that are reoccurring every month that you're paying for, you put them on your Divvy card, and then it automatically gets paid at the end of the month.
I bought a new iPhone last night. I set up its own little Divvy.
She's got like 300 Divvy accounts now.
Divvy virtual
This is for nonprofits. This is awesome.
And so how much do you pay for each one?
And you've got all these volunteers, and these ladies are buying stuff all over, and they're filling out, they want to be reimbursed, and I've got these little receipts, and then you got to reimburse them, and it's running through accounts payable. And oh my gosh, I said, stop letting people use their own money. You control the budget. Or, they can say, hey, I'm at the store, I need $100, and whoever's on this, who's ever authorized can say yes or no.
That's
and
good.
Instantly on the card. I mean, they can be in line at the cash register.
That'd be good for a contractor too that has workers.
Yep.
So what's the fee for the card, Sarah?
It's free.
Nothing's free.
Love you, Matthew.
They're a startup. It's currently free. I'm looking for my my little.
So is there processing fees or bank fees or?
While you look for it, Sarah, let's go to Brandon, who says he's using Bento.
Oh, I looked at Bento, but I think didn't they charge per person or something?
They do have a charge per person. I don't remember. The starter is free up to 2 cards.
Right.
So I've got customers using them, and I use it in here just a little bit. But basically, it's basically the same thing. You can have a number of cards. You can give them out to your employees. You can authorize what types of transactions that your employees can use them for. So if it's just for gas, you can lock them out of everything except for fuel.
Nice. That's nice.
Nice.
You've got real-time access, so you can load a card or you can zero it out if you get a rogue employee. And the only thing that they've got left is a plastic card. So it's not like you're sending your credit cards out with the employees. And you can give them very specific spending specifications, what they're allowed to spend on, what they're not. If they get someplace and they need to spend money on something they're not authorized to do, you jump online and you can authorize it right then, and it's super easy. It's all web based.
Yeah, so the nice thing is if you have to let your employee go, you don't have to worry about collecting that card.
Yeah.
Right.
So the only thing I hesitated about them was because I had nonprofits that would have like committees, and they say, all right, every committee member is allowed to spend $1,000, but then you know, I had like 60 of these, you know, and I'm like, yeah, that wasn't going to work for them.
Yeah, I like Divvy too. I've used it. We got the free Divvy account. I think it was at Scaling last year.
No, you know what? That was one of those that like popped up on Facebook or something.
Divvy was at QuickBooks Connect, Sarah, where I met you. I got one of the cards. They gave me $100 to play with.
Yeah, they'll give you $100.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I don't know how they're going to keep onboarding these people because they're labor intensive. If you want a Divvy card, you have to make an appointment. They give you the demo and they set you up while you're talking, and then they give you the $100. And I'm like, you guys aren't going to be able to keep this up. I get more and more popular because now it's taking longer and longer to get an appointment.
So, Sarah, I have a client that this might work for, but the client, she has an assistant, but she has 2 company files. And we haven't given her a card because she kind of gets confused. This company has to get charged on this card. This company has to. So we're kind of like, never mind, we're just going to reimburse you because you can't figure it out. But do they have different colored of cards? Or, I mean, can I give her a card? Red card is for this company. Blue card is for
What I do is I don't have my wallet. I have I put stickers on my cards. One says Sarah. One says, you know,
label.
The label. I just take a label maker. And,
yeah.
I had some cards that were all the same color or something. It was killing me.
Yeah, label maker is probably, unfortunately, my client, she's not completely trusting that her assistant will keep it straight, so we haven't done anything yet. But okay, so you just do label maker. All right, well, I was just curious.
That's the way I do it for myself because I've done that before.
Well, we are almost out of time. I know time flies when you're having fun. Matt, we'll come back to your question. But anything else anyone wants to say about processes that we haven't talked about, or apps, or something that you love?
Actually, Sarah Laidlaw, you only mentioned one app. Can you?
I know. I'm thinking.
Can you list your other apps?
HubDoc. I'm doing what everybody else is doing. It. MineralTree, HubDoc.
Smartsheets.
Well, HubDoc doesn't sync with desktop. But I was asking Sarah Laidlaw just because you use desktop. I was curious what you had that might.
But as far as interfacing with desktop, the only thing that's really interfacing is MineralTree when it works.
Well, I had some.
Expensify.
Yeah, Expensify.
Sarah does.
Mark?
Yeah, who do you use?
Well, no, we had that build.com issue. I figured I'd put that out there.
Bill.com?
Bill.com. I use Bill.com.
So we have a
Can you hear him?
Not really.
You're supposed to say vendor sync.
Thank you.
I have a question for Murphy. Go ahead.
Oh, can we do a grievous, self-interest postings?
No, but we could try to tell about each other's apps, and then it isn't as bad, right?
That's right.
There you go.
Vendor sync is just really not appreciated for what it really is. That's the new tagline for vendor sync.
That's right. Just underappreciated.
All right, so we have
Bill.com problem.
With Bill.com where it wouldn't. The file was in 2017, and it wouldn't.
Hard to hear. I can't.
It's really hard to hear him.
Better get closer, Mark. Yeah.
We had a system that had multiple versions of QuickBooks on it. Okay.
Typical for us.
17, 18, 19, right? And the file was in 2017, and it was on a server where the data was stored, where the database manager was running for QuickBooks. And so the file again was in 17, and Bill.com wouldn't. I mean, it had worked all along, and then Bill.com stopped syncing, and couldn't figure out what the problem was. And I actually did some process checking and network checking to see if that nothing was being blocked or whatever. So as it turns out, once we updated the data file to 2019, and then we installed the 2019 database manager, then it synced. So what was happening in the background at Bill.com because what had happened is 2019 was installed on the system, And right after 2019 was installed, it broke the Bill.com sync. And Bill.com, for whatever reason, was going out to, it was trying to open up the file with 2019, couldn't do it because it was already open. So anyway, so I guess if you're in that kind of environment, you need to be on the latest, whatever files you're trying to do sync with Bill.com have got to be on the latest version of QuickBooks that's loaded on the system.
Well, that's horrible for accounting firms if we have different versions and
Yeah.
the client is still on a different version and we're sharing the file or with a Q box or something. That sounds like a mess.
Yeah, that sounds like it could be a real problem.
All right, so HubDoc is having a little fight with Bank of America apparently.
Oh no.
So it broke Bank of America, and the big selling feature was telling my nonprofits where you don't have to make Xerox copies of all these donation checks anymore, because I just go to HubDoc and there's all these pretty little pictures of the deposits, and it worked fantastic. And then like 2 weeks ago it broke, and they have no idea when they're going to be able to have
That's the problem with getting a process like that. That's so beautiful.
Where else can I go?
So wonderful.
That's why I don't use HubDoc that much anymore.
Right. So who else? You know, if any other program on the market that'll let me see the deposit slip and all the checks with it? Matthew, I know would Ledger. I think Ledger Sync brings in the images, but I don't think it brings in the deposits.
So, okay, yes and no. Depending on the bank, it will do for some. However, I have to say right now,
yep,
I will let you know when it's time to try Ledger Sync again.
Got it. Got it.
They are very, very close. Like, I mean, I hate saying it that way, but it's just honest. It has been really, really hard to work with it because they are actually extremely actively rebuilding the thing on a different platform.
Bank or a lot of the banks?
No, Ledger Sync, the entire thing.
Oh, okay.
All the banks are doing their own things on their own time and busting things all over the place here and there.
Yeah. And
Bank of America was my little rock. I mean, that thing never burped.
I said that about American Express. My little rock.
So we're probably about half a month away before they're supposed to like really launch. I'll let you guys know as soon as I get the beta access. Okay. It's got to go through the Matthew test or the spot test to see if I can break it. And if I can't break it, then it gets launched out pretty much.
It does do deposits for some banks.
For a lot of the big ones, it's and they can. It's just a question of if the bank offers it or not. So
I wonder if I go in and set up Bank of America right now. I wonder if it'll work.
It used to for sure for us. I could check because we've got a couple people. Just understand that like right now, patience is required because they're actively rebuilding the thing to make it stronger. But the pricing also is dramatically changing, and everybody will be happy.
Ooh. So get it now so you're grandfathered in.
No. I'll tell you when.
You're overpaying right now.
Hi, Maurice. So
anyway, I haven't found any new toys lately other than the Divi. But
I'm looking for a new toy.
Looking at practice management again. I haven't done it in a couple years.
Everybody's talking about that ClickUp.
Yeah. So that's not, that's one of the ones I want to look at. So here we go again. It's a lot of work and it's exhausting.
Yep.
I know.
I want less toys.
Up and look at demos and go, oh, it does this. Oh, crap.
I'm waiting for the all-in-one.
Yeah.
Soho.
One toy.
One toy that'll.
Track 1099. Love that.
Matthew and Ernest get busy on that together.
I use Track 1099 for W9 fetching. I set up all my clients as colleagues, and then they can gather their own W9s from my Track 1099 account.
Nice.
Awesome. I'm trying to think of everything else I just onboarded with. Anyway, I'm trying not to just like scare this new client to death because I've enough for that. I've enough for that. He's using the mileage thing on Expensify.
So I'm looking for something that can help with cash flow forecasting. that will pull in the available credit on lines of credit.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because for construction clients, when everything's built and they're waiting to sell it, so I have my construction clients, they build houses on lots that is in a land holding company that they also own. So they're not contracting, say Ernest wants to come buy a house or build a house. They're not contracting directly with Ernest to build the house that Ernest wants. They have, I think 10 different floor plans that they own, and they'll just decide which ones that they're going to build. But around this time and last month and everything, the houses just don't sell in Minnesota over the winter. So I need to know exactly how much credit they have and how many days that they have with the bills that we have. And I don't want to have to keep doing it in Excel.
Got it.
So if anybody comes across a cash flow forecasting tool that will let you pull in line of credit. I've looked at cash flow tools, which looks really awesome, and Cash Flow Frog, and neither one of them can pull in lines of credit. They'll only look at the banks. So like all your bank accounts, your checking accounts, your savings account, and accounts receivable.
With QBO or desktop?
Well, this one's in desktop.
Well, guys, I think we are at the hour mark here at this point. So, well, we started real early, Sarah.
Did you? I was fighting with the towel person. As nicely as I could, since I've already paid him in.
Alrighty, guys, we will see you same time, same place next week.
Go Sharks!
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Who are they?
Oh, you're killing me right now.